everybody to the house of Jacob.
Yeah,
It's always a blessing to stand before y'all on the Lord's holy Sabbath day to keep his commandment. And today, can y'all hear me? Today we're going to deal with Israel, not Ishmael. Because normally during this February, we like to keep it like on the Black History Month. And I know we get a lot about Esau, and we get a lot about, you know, the Sunday Christians tampering in, but we don't never really look at Ishmael. And he got a big thing going on too with this Islamic religion. And a lot of brothers go to jail, end up, you know, with this Quran. And today we're going to straighten all of that out. And this is not to bash Islam, none of that. It's just to show you that it's out of order. That the true and living God don't deal with religion. He deals with his words, only his words that he got from the Holy Father. So these first three scriptures we're going to read is going to be not really pertaining to this lesson, but just to let people know that this is not some kind of attack on Islam or to bash Islam. It's just to do what Israel is supposed to do, set the record straight. So we're going to start this off in the book of Romans, the 3rd chapter, Romans 3. And we're going to be in and out of the Quran today a lot. Romans 3, and we're going to start reading at verse 3. Romans 3 and verse 3. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. Yea, let God be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sins, and mightest overcome when thou art judged.
And that's what this is about. You know, let every man be a liar, and let only God be true. You know, God can't lie. So you don't want to put your faith in man. You want to always keep it in the Most High God. Let's go over here now to Psalms 24. The book of Psalms, the 24th chapter.
Now I see
And we're just going
input.
to read that first verse. Psalms 24 and 1.
I see
Get
play
Israel, go ahead.
clause. I see
The earth is the Lord's,
reverse.
and
I
the
see
fullness thereof,
fast forward.
the world, and they that dwell therein.
So everything belongs to the Lord, right? If you're a human being and you're on this earth, you belong to the Lord as well. Because he said, the people here, the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. That's all the people.
That's right.
Let's go to this last place. Let's go to Acts the 10th chapter. And then we're going to get started. Acts 10, and we're going to start reading in verse 34.
I don't see.
Acts 10 and verse 34. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
Wait, you know what?
Then Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth, I perceive that God is no respecter of persons, but in every nation he that feareth him and worketh righteousness is accepted with him.
So you see, this ain't about trying to bash nobody or trying to be on no racial thing. This is just like I said, setting the record straight. Right. You know, so you might have family members or friends as Muslims. You could drop this lesson on them, help them out.
Right.
You know, get them into their book, to their Bible. So let's get going. First, we're going to start off in this red Quran here. They pretty much both the same, but sometimes they use like the same word but a little different. So we're going to read something first in this red one. And we're going to go to Surahs 2 and 4. Surahs 2 and 4.
And who believe in the Quran and the
It's still
Sunnah,
kind of
which
fuzzy.
this Surah 2, verse 4.
Yep.
And who believe in the Quran and the Sunnah, which have been sent down, revealed to you, Muhammad, and in that which was sent down before you, the Torah.
So you see here, the Quran is telling you that this is what was sent down to Muhammad, this Quran, which we're going to find out later that that's not true. Because the Lord said, only have I known Israel out of all the families on the earth. So there's no such thing as a prophet Muhammad. So, but we need to read this so you can see that the Muslims say they believe in the Torah. The Torah is just the first 5 books of the Bible. This is what Moses came with, the first 5 books. They call it the Torah, and they also call it the Pentateuch. So here this first Quran is telling us, you know, this is called the Torah. Now let's go into this one. And we're going to look up Surahs 3 and 4.
Surahs 3, verse 4. Before this, as a guide to mankind, and he sent down the criterion of judgment between right and wrong. Then those who rejected faith in the signs of Allah will suffer the severest penalty, and Allah is exalted in might, Lord of retribution. From Allah there is nothing is hidden on earth or in the heavens. He it is who shapes you in the wombs as he please.
So basically, he's just letting you know too that this all started with Moses. Now, this is where the Quran got their first 5 books. They got it from our book. They took it from the Bible. Because the first 5 books of the Torah is part of the Bible. So you can't get out of it. So now let's go here to the Bible. Let's go to Genesis 16. See, this is going to set the record straight, because the same thing people trying to do down here now, to fight for Ishmael to be able to teach the people and saying that God throwing away his people, it's been going on for a long time. The Lord has not threw away his people. He said, I've chose Israel forever, and that's us. Only way you can get into the kingdom of God is through Israel. And we're going to see that as well going through this lesson. 16:1, when you get in Israel, go ahead.
Now Sarah, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar.
Now pay attention to this, because this is Abram before he was named Abraham, his wife Sarai before she was Sarah, and Hagar. Continue to read.
And Sarah said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarah.
So you see, Sarah, his wife, came up with an idea, and he hearkened to it. He's like, okay, we'll go with that. Continue to read.
And Sarah, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarah said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judged between me and thee.
So now she see this little plan she came up with, she don't care too much for. Because now this lady's got a son that belongs to her husband in her house. So now she wants to knock.
Right.
Let's skip down to verse 11 and continue.
And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
So you see here now, this is where we get Ishmael from. This comes from Abraham as well. So he's also Shemitic. But he's not you. He's related to you, but he's not you. He's not Israel. Let's go now into Genesis the 17th chapter, and let's start reading at verse 1. Genesis 17 and verse 1. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thy seed exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee, in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee.
So you see now here the Lord God is breaking it down to Abraham, letting him know how this thing is going to go.
Right.
He's not getting instructions from Abraham.
Right.
Continue to read.
8. And I will give unto thee, and to thy seed after thee, the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God.
Now skip down to verse 15 and continue.
And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarah thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarah, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her.
So now pay attention here, because the Lord is letting you know that I will give you a son also of her.
Thank you.
So if he's saying also of her, he's knowing that you already got one with Hagar.
Okay.
Continue to read.
Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before thee.
Right here is where Islam got stopped.
Thank you very much.
His own father, Abraham, is telling God, let my son Ishmael live before you. The Lord is going to let him know, no.
No.
Right.
Your child that I had your wife have, Isaac, that came through Sarah,
That's right.
he's going to hold my covenant.
Thank you very much. Thank
Pay
you.
attention to what you're reading here. Continue to read.
And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant.
How long is everlasting?
Forever.
That's forever, right?
That's right.
Continue to read.
And with this seed after him. And as to Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation.
You look at Ishmael sitting over here now in the Middle East. What? He got 12 tribes.
That's right.
And they all doing good. They got all the oil. The Lord blessed them.
That's right.
But he said, well, my covenant with my word is not going to go with him.
Not for them.
So there is no such thing as Islam or no Quran.
Come on, brother. Teach.
It's
Teach.
just really that simple.
That's right.
Continue to read.
21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year.
That's good. Now let's go on to Genesis, the 22nd chapter. Genesis 22. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Genesis 22. Because see, this is simple stuff when you Israel. Because God gave this to us. You're supposed to know this stuff.
That's right.
But to other races, it wasn't given to them. That's why they got this Quran here. And that's why we got all of these people running around here messed up,
That's right.
thinking that they're worshiping some God who don't exist.
That's right, brother. You said it right.
And that's a very sad thing. That's a dangerous thing to spend all your time worshiping a God that don't exist.
Amen.
Genesis 22, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah.
You see, he just went spiritual. He said, take your son, Isaac, your only son. He just told you he know about Ishmael. He blessed Ishmael.
Amen.
But he's not dealing with flesh right
Thank you very
now.
much.
He don't with spiritual. He's letting you know about his thing, his covenant.
That's right.
Continue to read.
And offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
Now skip down to verse 9 and continue.
And they came to the place which God had told him of. And Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on an altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me.
So the Lord stopped him. He was about to have him go up there and sacrifice his child.
Right.
But as soon as he was getting ready to strike him, the Lord said, stop.
right.
Now I know that you fear me and that you was going to give up your only child. They say the Lord knows everything. Maybe he do, but we going by this book
Thank you.
and what he's saying.
Okay.
You know, we don't assume up here and we don't get into interpretation or feelings. We go with facts.
Right.
Let's go now to Genesis, the 25th chapter. So he's saying now he knows. See, the Lord always want to get you to do some work.
Right.
Make sure you got his back.
That's it.
Genesis 25. And now we're going to take a look because we're going to see both sons. Let's go Genesis 25, and we're going to start reading in verse 8. Genesis 25 and 8. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
Then Abraham gave up the ghost, and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, which is before Mamre. the field which Abraham purchased of the sons of Heth. There was Abraham buried, and Sarah his wife.
So that's good. So you see both of them was here now, both of the sons. Skip down to verse 19. Continue.
And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated her, and Rebekah his wife conceived.
So you see now we're going straight down the covenant. We got Isaac. The Lord said your seed is going to be blessed.
That's right.
So now here come Isaac, his wife, and his kids. Continue to read.
And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Here come your brother Esau and what you call Jacob, the children of Israel.
Right.
That's why her stomach is like that. She got 2 different nations in here that's fighting.
Right.
They're fighting since the beginning, before they got here, in our womb, and they're fighting now.
I get now. Thank you.
That's right.
The Lord told you they don't like us. Edom don't like us. The Lord said that he hates them.
That's right.
He's going to make them most desolate
There you go.
at the appointed time.
Thank you very much.
Continue to read.
24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a heavy garment, and they called his name Esau.
That's Esau. That's your twin brother. People you see out here with them black hats and all that, and the long red beards. They look like white people, but they dance on beat, they rap on beat. They more like you, because that's your twin. Continue to read.
And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob saw a pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, sell me this day thy birthright.
Now pay attention here, because this is one of the reasons why they hate you. And it has nothing to do with nothing you did. This has something to do with something that their father Esau did.
That's right.
So pay attention to this here. Go ahead, continue.
And Esau said, behold, I am at the point to die. And what profit shall this birthright do to me?
Now look how he exaggerating. He done been out here in the field doing a little work. Ain't been but one day, and he come to tell his brother he needs some food. He like, okay, I'm gonna give you this porridge. It's like cream of wheat or whatever it is, some kind of pottage or soup or lentils. And he's like, okay, but sell me your birthright
Right.
for me to give you this soup and everything. He like, what's this birthright gonna do to me? I'm about to die. So he sold it. He made an agreement, a covenant. He made a contract with his brother. Continue to read.
And Jacob said, swear to me this day. And he swore unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright.
Okay, so he despised his birthright, but he still gave it up, right? He made an agreement.
Absolutely.
Now let's go take a look at this and see if he honored his agreement. Let's go over here now to Genesis, the 27th chapter. And let's start reading at verse 1. Genesis 27 and verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And it came to pass that when Isaac was old, and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son, and said unto him, my son. And he said unto him, behold, here am I. And he said, behold now, I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field, and take me some venison, and make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die.
Now, he didn't say, oh, hold on, Father. Let me go get Jacob. We made a deal, and I gave up my birthright. He ain't finna say that. Pay attention to what he said. Continue to read.
Okay.
And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son. And Esau went to the field to hunt for venison.
What are you doing hunting for venison
Now,
when he gave up his birthright?
really matter.
You can't go hunt for no venison and still get the birthright. You done ate up the man's porridge and his soup.
Right.
You made a deal with him.
That's right.
Continue to read.
And bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speak unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence two good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is a heavy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will fill me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them.
See, he didn't know his mother had heard that little deal. So she knew what was going on. She's like, nah, he's not about to get out of this. You know, I'm going to hook up this meat for you, and you're going to go in there and get your blessing.
Right.
Continue to read.
And he went and fetched, and brought them to his mother, and he and his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son.
Skip down to 19.
And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me.
Now skip down to verse 30 and continue.
And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me.
So he like, I'm going to eat up your stuff, and I'm going to go in there and get the blessing from the father. Totally foul.
Right.
Continue to read.
And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison, and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest. And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and have taken away thy blessing.
But he really didn't. It was his.
That's right.
He made an agreement to give it to him.
That's right.
He just didn't honor it. Continue to read.
And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Didst thou not reserve a blessing for me?
And you see he was foul because the blessing and the birthright is the same thing. That's the way they did it back then. You give the oldest everything when you're about to check out. Because he's been around you the longest. He know your ways. He done learned the law. So that way he can take care of the rest of the kids, the younger brothers, the younger sisters, all of them.
Right.
So it was a law. Just like back with Laban and them, and Rachel and Leah. When he wanted to marry Leah, they snuck Rachel in on him. He had to end up waiting a whole another 7 years, and then the father told him, well, over here in our land, we don't give away our oldest before, our youngest before the oldest. Our oldest daughter got to get married before you come want to marry my younger daughter. But they didn't tell him that at first.
Right.
So you got to pay a lot of attention to what's going on here. Let's go now to Genesis, the 32nd chapter. Genesis 32. Because a lot of these little things got the whole world confused. Got religion started off of this stuff. Now this is when Israel got adopted by the Lord. This is when we became Israel. Genesis 32, we're going to read this first verse, and then we're going to skip down to verse 24. Because down in 24 and 28, it sounds like Jacob is wrestling with a man. So I wanted you to read this first verse so you can see that this is not a man. Genesis 32 and 1, when you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him.
Okay, that's good. So you see who met him on his road when he was traveling. Now skip down to verse 24 and continue.
And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him.
And ain't no man going to do that either, touch your thigh and put your whole thing out of joint. He's dealing with an angel. That's why we read that first. Continue.
And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name should be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed.
So now he is blessed. Now he's been adopted. His name is no longer Jacob. Now his name is Israel. And he got power with man and with God. See, this is all that the Lord was building up to, talking about his covenant. You know, when he was talking about that seed, he really wasn't talking about Isaac. This went all the way down to Jesus. Jesus is going to bless every seed of the earth. Because if you don't come up under his blood, you don't get it.
Thank you very much.
So, you know, when your God is talking spiritual, you got to know when he's talking spiritual. And when he's talking flesh, he'll let you know he's talking flesh. Let's go to Exodus, the first chapter. Exodus 1 and 1. This is where you get your 12 tribes of Israel. All these are the children of Jacob, the children of Israel. That's why the Lord changed his name to Israel, so you wouldn't get confused at it. Who are the children of Israel? Israel's children. His 12 children.
Thank you very much.
Exodus 1
Thank you very much.
and verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt, every man in his household with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was in Egypt already.
All right, now let's go to Exodus, the 6th chapter. Turn over to Exodus 6. We're going to start reading in verse 2. Because the Lord is going to let you know about that covenant. And make sure that they remember it, because you're dealing with a covenant God. Everything you do is with covenant.
Amen.
And he lets you know that can't nothing be saved without the shedding of blood.
Thank you.
Exodus 6, let's start reading in verse 2. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And God spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am the Lord. And I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty. But by my name Jehovah was I not known to them.
Now, just because of that one little thing there, you got a whole religion called the Jehovah's Witnesses. And they don't understand. Jehovah is one of Jesus' names. And they say, oh no, that's the Holy Father. I'm like, read that to me once.
Right.
They can't.
That's right.
In their book, at the end of their book, they thought that Jehovah was the Father's name, so they put Jesus' name twice in the kingdom. When the kingdom comes out, they're going to take the Father out of it. It says Jehovah and the Lamb of the kingdom. They'll be the sun, and they'll be the moon, and they'll be the temple. So you're going to take the Holy Father out of his own temple by not understanding and not reading. Continue to read.
Verse 4. And I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of the pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with the stretched out arm and with great judgments.
So you see here, the Lord has remembered his covenant.
That's right.
And he's telling them that, man, I remember my covenant. This is an agreement.
That's right, brother.
And you can't break it.
Yeah.
Let's go over here now to Exodus the 19th chapter. And we're going to look at when the Lord was making them a special nation. See, everything the Lord said he was going to do, he do.
That's right, brother.
Only time the problem come in is when we mess up.
Amen.
Exodus 19, and let's start reading in verse 1. Exodus 19 and verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mountain. And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel.
One and the same, Jacob's children. Continue.
Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine.
He's telling you again that you're going to be special to him above all people. And then he reminds you, now remember, you're going to be special to me, and all the earth is mine.
That's right.
So that's a real big thing. Continue to read.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
That's good. And you see, he's not speaking to nobody else but the children of Israel.
That's
right.
Now let's go over here to this Quran. And we're going to look up Surah 5 and 20. See if it's saying anything different. If this God was giving something to Ishmael, or was they giving it to Israel? 5 and 20.
Remember Moses said to his people, O my people, call in remembrance the favor of Allah unto you, when he produced prophets among you, made you kings, and gave you what he had not given to any other among the people.
So that means there's no such thing called a prophet Muhammad. Their own book is saying that.
Thank you.
Right.
If Moses is saying, I'll talk to my people, and Moses is an Israelite,
Thank you.
was the high priest of the Israelites until he passed it down to Aaron,
Come on.
he's telling you that he's an Israelite. Only has he known Israel in the middle of the Quran.
Yes.
So where does Ishmael come
It's where it comes
Right.
from.
from? It don't.
It don't come in.
Let's go back to the Bible now, to the book of Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter. See, it's little simple things that got everything confused. Simple things like going to talk to other people instead of Israel. When the Lord done told you in both books, go talk to Israel. If you want to learn about me, go talk to my people.
Right.
If you don't want to learn from me, then go talk to somebody else. Deuteronomy 32, and we're going to start reading in verse 8. Deuteronomy 32 and verse 8. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
And that's what he did. That's why you got 12 daytime hours, 12 nighttime hours, 24 hours, 12 months in a year. He put Israel all around. There's nothing you can do without thinking about his 12 tribes. And our people walking around calling themselves African. The two continents don't even know who they are. That's disgusting.
Amen. Oh, that's great.
Continue to read.
For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
So he is telling you that his portion, his piece of the pie on this earth is you.
It's me.
He like, Jacob is my portion. That's what I'm watching down there on earth. I'm watching my people, my priests.
Right.
Because if they don't get together, I can't save the rest of my children.
Have mercy now. Have mercy.
That's right.
Because all my words tell the rest of my children to go talk to Israel.
Thank you.
That's why we have to be so seriously on this.
That's right, brother.
Anybody come up to you and ask you a question, you're supposed to open your book and be like, let's sit down, let me show you that.
Right.
You're not supposed to be like, oh, have faith and be gone. Like these brothers and sisters doing out here nowadays, playing church.
Come on now.
Let's go now to Exodus, the 24th chapter. Because this covenant is real serious. This covenant was purged with blood. So something died when they agreed in this covenant.
Amen.
Moses didn't say what it was, but he sprinkled the blood on the people. It wasn't his blood. Something died.
Thank you very much.
Exodus 24, and let's pick it up at verse 6. Exodus 24 and verse 6. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Lord hath said will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, behold the blood of the covenant, which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words.
Concerning some of these words?
All these words.
Concerning all these words. So the Lord is letting you know, everything that he said, this Exodus 20, you agreed to, your forefathers did, and said they was going to do it, and did it.
Indeed.
Let's go back to this Quran. This time we're going to Surahs 2 and 40. We're going to be jumping in and out of this Quran
Okay.
to see if you're seeing anything different. Quran Surah 2 and verse 40. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
O children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestowed upon you, and fulfill your covenant with me as I fulfill my covenant with you, and fear none but me. And believe in what I reveal, confirming the revelation which is with you, and be not the first to reject faith therein, nor sell my signs for a small price, and fear me and me alone.
All right, now skip down to verse 47.
O children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestowed upon you, and that I preferred you to all others for my message.
Now, if your God is Allah, and he's telling you that I've only known Israel, and their job is to give my message to all the other people,
Okay.
why are all our brothers and sisters sitting up in these mosques with all of these Arabs doing Islam?
Right.
I don't get that.
Come
That's
on.
right.
So you know what that proves? They doing just like the Sunday Christians. They holding that Quran, but they ain't reading it.
That's right.
They're not reading the book. You have to read these books. That's why we have them.
Praise God. Amen. Amen.
Skip down to verse 53 and continue.
And remember, we gave Moses the scripture, the criterion between right and wrong. There was a chance for you to be guided aright. And remember, Moses said to his people, O my people, ye have indeed wronged yourselves by your worship of the calf. So turn in repentance to your Maker and slay yourselves, the wrongdoers.
So he basically let them know we don't pray to calves and statues and all that little stuff. So the book is telling them a lot of good things, but like I said before, the book should have never been.
Right.
Let's go back to the Bible, to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter.
Put that in, brother.
This book should have never been written.
You said we gonna what?
We're going to Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Deuteronomy 28, and we're going to start reading at verse 1. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And it shall come to pass, if thou hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Skip down to verse 9 and continue.
The Lord shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his ways.
Didn't he tell us that?
That's right.
In Exodus 19, you're going to be a peculiar people to me, a nation of priests.
That's right.
A lot of our people don't know that. You're not only God's chosen people, you're a nation of priests.
Thank
Right.
you.
You are the church.
Thank you. Thank you.
Continue to read.
And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord.
Where did the name Israel come from? That's the
Lord.
Lord's name.
That's right.
You called by his name.
That's right.
Name.
Continue to read.
And they shall be afraid of thee.
That's good. Now let's skip down to verse 12 and continue.
The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow.
Just think if we wouldn't have messed it up right now, you have so much money you don't know what to do with it. You can actually lend people money.
Right.
Nowadays, we loan a brother $2. I'm like, hey, brother, you got that?
Right.
You got your mom?
Right.
No, he got $2.
Right. That's right.
We wouldn't have been like that if we did what the Lord told us to do. Continue to read.
13. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only.
Do you know how that would feel?
I know that.
All people at the bottom. He's saying above only.
Right.
So that means whatever you decide to put your hand in, you the man.
Right.
Whatever's going on, they got to call you. Hey, how's so-and-so looking? Oh, it's good. It's coming in. You the man.
Right.
You above only.
Right.
That's what the Lord did for us. Continue to read.
And thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
Here come the other side of that coin.
Okay.
Continue to read.
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field.
Which one of them you think we got, the blessings or the curses? Yeah, y'all paying attention. Skip down to verse 25 and continue.
The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
How did we get over here in America? We was removed. We came on ships, tied up, naked, and chained.
Thank you.
We didn't migrate over here. We wasn't on top like some of these Africans having drinks and what are the cruise ships? No, we was in a bottle,
That's right.
like sardines packed up.
There
Right.
you go.
Continue to read.
26. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away.
Skip down to verse 29 and continue.
And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways.
No matter what you're doing, it just won't work. You're not going to prosper in your ways. All this is a punishment.
That's right, brother.
Continue to read.
And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee.
Ain't nobody going to save you. Ain't going to be no reparations or no nothing. So get that out your mind. Continue to read.
Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
We saw a lot of that back in the days with that movie Roots. And now they're showing it again with that 12 years a slave. How the master could just go in there to your wife. Not ask you, just go. In front of you. Continue to read.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand.
They showed that in Roots when that guy had a little daughter. He named him Kizzy. He stayed put.
Right.
Soon as master needed a little money, Kizzy was gone.
Right,
Just like a lamb or a sheep or
right.
anything else. That's how they looked at us. And they still look at us like that.
Right.
The Lord says you ought to slaughter the flock.
That's right.
They kill you and hold themselves not guilty.
That's right.
That's why the little brother was walking around with some Skittles and a tea and got shot down dead. The brother didn't do no time in jail for killing him.
Right.
There you go.
That's right.
Let that have happened the other way around.
Right.
Brother would still be in jail.
Still be there. That's right, brother.
But the Lord warning you of all of this so you don't fall into this. You got to be on like you walking on pins. You got to watch yourself. The Lord got them hedges around you, but people trying to kill you. Continue to read.
33. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see.
And that's how it is. A lot of people walking around real mad. Like, man, when is our turn?
Right.
Skip down to verse 36 and continue.
The Lord shall bring thee and thy king which thou shalt set over thee unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee.
Now these words here, this astonishment means amazement. This proverb, I looked these up earlier with the dictionary. This proverb means a personal thing that has become commonly recognized as a type. And then he's saying this byword is a personal thing proverbial as being, like contemptible or ridiculous.
Right.
So this is how they look at us.
Yeah.
And then contemptible is despicable.
See? Now.
So this is how they think about us. And the Lord is telling us that. That's why every time you move in, they move out. Don't nobody want to be around you. You don't want to be around you.
There you go.
But this is all for a reason. These are the curses. Continue to read.
38. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shall gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it.
Skip down to 41 and continue.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
Who got more kids in jail than us? Continue to read.
All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locusts consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
We done seen that just in our lifetime, some of the older ones. When Hispanics first started coming over here, they didn't have their own TV stations and all of this stuff. And now you turn on the TV, it's 4 or 5 Mexican channels. I haven't seen not one black channel. They say BET is ours, but I can't tell. If it is, we need to turn it off. Quick.
There you go.
It's ours. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing.
Now,
Continue to read.
44. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
And that's what it is. This is a sign. When you look at all these things the Lord said was going to happen, it don't fit nobody but us. It's easy to find these people. You read this stuff, you be like, you know what? I know who the children of Israel are. You're like, yeah, me too, I think.
Right.
It don't fit nobody else on the planet.
right.
Skip down to verse 58. Continue.
If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues and of long continuance, and sore sicknesses and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee.
Skip down to 63 and continue.
And it shall come to pass, that as the Lord rejoice over you to do you good, and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you, and to bring you to naught. And you shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Skip down to verse 68.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
And that's what he told Moses. He said, you see over there in Egypt, you ain't going to never see that over there again. And we didn't. But to us, Egypt is slavery. You know, wasn't no aliens building those spaceships, and I mean, none of that came and built the pyramids. We built the pyramids. Your forefathers did that.
Absolutely. That's right.
That's why people like Ramesses and all of them left books. And they said, we made the children of Israel serve with rigor. Like we beat them. We made them do this. It ain't no secret. They just trying to erase your history because they can't build a pyramid. It's 2014.
Come on.
They wanted, how was your forefathers doing it way back then?
Yes, that's what did. Thank you.
So since they can't figure it out, now the aliens did it. We continue to read.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
And that's what happened. As soon as we hit the shores of America, you got off the boats, $10, $5, they was auctioning us off. Selling, like bondsmen and bondswomen.
Thank you.
Everything the Lord said happened. Now we're going to take it to a look at something else that we just read, that he said that we was going to be worshiping wood and stone.
Wood and stone.
Well, let's see. Are we worshiping wood and stone?
Of course.
First, we're going to take a look at the almanac. And this is going to tell you the 2 largest religions that we have on the world today. What's the 2 biggest religions?
At the beginning of the 21st century, 1/3 of the world's population is Christian and 1/5 is Muslim.
So there's some 2 biggies. The Christians and the Muslims, they got like 99.9 of the people.
See? Now.
And now we're going to see what are they doing with the people. Because they're not doing right. Let's look into the New Catholic American Encyclopedia, and we're going to take a look at this cross. He's going to read to you a little stuff about the cross. The cross, you see everybody hanging on their neck, hanging up in their houses, and at their job.
It's on page 248. Crosses were worn by all important citizens, both in the East and in the West. The use varied from deep recollective piety to good luck, talisman, and amulets. Women from a very early period realized the decorative as well as their devotional value. When hollowed When hollowed out to contain a biblical text or a relic, the cross was known as an encolpian or religiary cross. It is the origin of the pectoral cross worn by greater ecclesiastics as part of their official dress, a practice which dates from the 16th century in the Eastern Church and from the 17th century in the Western Church. The liturgical use of crosses is seemingly more ancient than their use as pious decoration. Hand crosses were used by bishops in giving blessings or initiating liturgical action.
So how some man gonna walk around, call himself a bishop, and bless you with a death symbol?
Right.
A cross. It's a death symbol. That's what they took the Lord and nailed him up there and murdered him with. That's a death symbol.
Amen.
And people wear it on their neck, think it's holy.
Thank you.
That's right.
People go bend down in church right across their chest. We ain't wearing none of that.
Right.
All that stuff is in error.
Amen.
Tell you to read.
Amen.
St. John Chrysostom died 407, had crosses borne in procession when he was attempting to recall the populace of the Orthodoxy. And St. Augustine of Canterbury had such a cross borne when he landed in Kent.
Now let's look at that crucifixion.
Come on.
Crucifixion. Crucifixion was a method of capital punishment commonly used among the ancient peoples surrounding the Mediterranean basin from approximately the 6th century BC to the 4th century AD.
See, Jesus wasn't the only one nailed up on the cross.
Right.
They say sometimes it used to be like 5,000 people a day.
Right.
Continue to read.
Crucifixion was finally banned by Constantine the Great, the first Christian emperor in AD 337, as a token of respect for Jesus Christ, who chose to redeem the world through death on the cross.
So the one who changed your holy day, gave you Sunday and blue lights and all that, he decided to go ahead and say, you know, we're not going to nail nobody else to the cross no more because we did it to Jesus.
Right.
Continue to read.
Bring it on, brother.
This article discusses crucifixion in the ancient world, the crucifixion of Christ, and the significance of the cross. Crucifixion among the ancients. Because of its cruelty, crucifixion was intended as both a severe punishment of the victim and a frightful deterrent to others. Crucifixion developed from a method of execution by which the victim was fastened to an upright stake, either by impaling him on it or by tying him to it with thongs.
So you got one big wooden stake, you either tied to it or nailed to it or however they want to do it. Continue.
Impalement inflicted extreme pain but brought death in a short time.
So they say you can't stay up in the air too long like that, with your arms stretched out like that and nailed to the cross. After a while, you would die. So you know what they did? They put like a little seat so you could sit there and punish longer. I'll tell you to read.
When the victim was merely fastened to the stake, he suffered much longer and finally died of exhaustion, exposure, or torments inflicted on him by passerbys and even wild animals, if he was sufficiently close to the ground.
So you see, you come by some of them crosses is way in the air. But I guess some of the trees wasn't that big, so they just nail you about right here. So people who pass it by, punch you in the mouth, hit you in the stomach, whatever. Animals coming by, eat off your toes.
That's right.
Because you down low now.
That's right.
Continue to read.
From this form of execution was developed crucifixion in the strict sense, whereby the outstretched arms of the victim were tied or nailed to a crossbeam, which was then laid in a grove across the top or suspended by means of a notch in the side of an upright stake that was always left in position at the site of execution. The Romans considered crucifixion so shameful a penalty that it could not be inflicted on Roman citizens.
So they wouldn't do it to their own, but they'd do it to you.
Right.
It was too disgusting and too nasty to do to one of theirs.
Right.
But you come passing through.
Okay, good night.
See what happens. Continue to read.
Watch out.
Roman crucifixion was always preceded by a scourging of the victim at the place of judgment. Then the criminal, still naked after the scourging, was made to carry his own cross to the place of execution, where he was exposed to public ridicule and death.
So sometimes they just leave one of the stakes sitting there, one piece of wood there, and you got to carry the other piece on your back.
Right.
After they just whipped you with these nails and straps, tearing skin off you, scourging,
Right.
naked, scourging you. And then you got to carry this big wood tree to the other wood tree so you can go get hung up.
Right.
This is what they explain. Continue to read.
On the top of the upright stake was fastened a placard with the culprit's name and the statement of the crime for which he was being put to death.
So you remember that? That's what they did to our Lord and Savior. They said they put the name of his crime, his name and the name of his crime on his head. What did they put on our Lord? The name, Jesus. And then they said, what was his crime? For being the king of the Jews. What kind of crime is that? So they really, when they did that to him, was making mockery of what they did to wicked people, doing this to him, knowing he's an innocent man.
Right. That's right.
That's what you call suffering. Continue to read.
The full weight of a body hanging by the arms will prevent the functioning of the lung muscles and so cause death by asphyxiation after not too long a time. Therefore, to prolong the agony of the victim, support was given to his body by a kind of seat block and by binding. Therefore, to prolong the agony of the victim, support was given to his body by a kind of seat block and by binding or nailing his feet to the cross. Death could later be hastened by breaking the victim's legs, so that shock and asphyxiation soon ended his life. Sometimes, however, the side and heart would be pierced by spears to cause immediate death.
And that's what they did to the Lord and Savior. When they got there, Jesus was already dead, so they just pierced his side and let the blood run out. And the other two guys that was up there, they broke their legs, so they died real quick. Because there was also a bad thing, it was a curse, to have the bodies hanging up there when the hot day comes, when the holy days come. So you're like, we got to get them off of these crosses before this day comes. Continue, did you finish that up?
Last one.
Go ahead.
After death, the body was left to rot on the cross as an additional sign of disgrace and as a warning to the passerbys.
So you come by and you see all these people hanging up there dead, you're like, whoa, I'm not stopping. I'm not messing up. I'm not doing nothing in this time.
Right.
You know, it was there to scare you, to scare you. And not people walking around with them on their neck. Got them hanging in their houses. That's like when they killed Jesus with a machine gun, and now we all walk around with machine guns. I mean, seriously, that's how crazy it is. People not using this big old brain God gave. Let's go now back to the book of Deuteronomy, this time the 21st chapter. Because sometimes Israel will put somebody up on a tree, but not to kill them. We didn't nail people to the cross. You might get stoned to death, then they hang you up on a tree so everybody can see just what happened to you.
There you go.
And we're going to take a look at that. Deuteronomy 21, and we're going to start reading at verse 20. Deuteronomy 21 and verse 20. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And they shall say unto the elders of his city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious. He will not obey our voice. He is a glutton and a drunkard.
And we got a lot of Israel that got problems like that now. My kid don't listen to me. All he do is drink. He don't want to listen to nothing I say. When we get back to the land, look what you can do. Continue to read.
And all the men of his city shall stone with stones that he die, so that thou shalt put evil away from among you, and all Israel shall hear and fear.
See, they didn't play that disrespecting the parents and all of that back then. Nobody. Because your kids start doing it, then my kids start doing it. Or my kids start doing it, now your kids doing it. They're like, let's get it out the way.
Right.
When all y'all kids see what we do to this kid, nobody's kid gonna do it.
Right. That's right.
Continue to read.
And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be to be put to death, and thou hang him on the tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is accursed of God, that thy land be not defiled, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance.
So see, you can't just leave nobody hanging up like that. The Romans did it a lot. They was foul, but you're not supposed to do that. Now we're going to go into the 2 million years and take a look at this stone. We done saw a lot of this wood, these trees and these crosses and crucifixions, but the Lord called that. He said y'all was going to go worship that wood. Now let's go get the stone. 2 million years, this is a history book. We're going to page 149. And you know who rocked that cross, right? The Catholic Church.
Right.
The counterfeit church.
Right. Counterfeit.
Counterfeit church.
I got that.
When you get in Israel, go ahead.
The replacement of the black stone. Embedded in one wall of the Kaaba at Mecca since earliest times have been a hollow black stone, which non-Muslims are forbidden to approach. It is probably a meteorite, which is supposed to have fallen from paradise with Adam and been given by the angel Gabriel to Abraham when he was building the Kaaba. Legend says that the stone was white when it fell from the sky, but the kisses of millions of pilgrims have darkened it. A painting from a 14th century manuscript shows the solution to the problem of replacing the black stone during a rebuilding of the Kaaba. A dispute had arisen as to which tribe should have the honor of putting the stone into place. According to one of the hadiths, or traditions of the prophet's deeds, it was Muhammad, before the start of his mission, who decreed that the sacred stone be raised on a cloth held by one member of each tribe, thus dividing the labor and the honor among them.
Now, is that worship in stone? The Lord said, the Lord said we don't get in the wood and stone.
Right.
But yet this guy here is telling you, if you're not a Muslim, you can't even come near the stone.
Right.
And then he's saying it's a meteorite that fell from the
From
sky
the sky, that's right.
With Adam.
with Adam.
Thank you.
Somehow, Gabriel gets it and takes it to Abraham, and they build a mosque. And they forgot to put all this in the Bible.
Right. Right.
Now let's look at something else. Encyclopedia Britannica, a thing that they do called Hajj, H-A-J-J. See, the Christians got their wood and the Muslims got their stone. The Lord looked at both of them way back in Deuteronomy and said, Moses, you better put this in there too. They're going to be doing it. And here we are doing it.
Okay.
Read on the Hajj. It's going to start down here in the Bible. Yep, it's going to go to the next page.
Hajj in Islam, the pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca in Saudi Arabia, which every adult Muslim of either sex must make at least once in his or her lifetime.
So they don't care if you're male or female. If you call yourself a Muslim worshiping God, you got to make this trip at least once in your lifetime. Continue to read.
The Hajj is the fifth of the fundamental Muslim practices and institution known as the 5 pillars of Islam. The pilgrimage rites begin on the 7th day of Al-Hajj, the last month of the Islamic year, and ends on the 12th day. The Hajj is incumbent on every Muslim who is physically and financially able to make the pilgrimage, but only if his absence will not place hardship on his family.
So they mean like, in order for you to go make this trip to Mecca, if you might end up getting your family evicted or losing your job or something, then you don't go.
Right.
But if you can afford to make this trip to Mecca, then you have to. It's a mandatory. Continue to read.
A person may perform the Hajj by proxy, appointing a relative or friend going on the pilgrimage to stand in for him or her. The pattern of pilgrimage rites was established by the Prophet Muhammad, but variations have risen in it, and the stringent formal itinerary is not strictly adhered to by the mass of pilgrims who frequently visit the various Meccan sites out of their proper order. When the pilgrim is about 6 miles from Mecca, he enters the state of holiness and purity known as Israel, and dons the Israel garments, consisting of 2 white seamless sheets that are wrapped around the body. The pilgrim cut neither his hair nor his nails until the pilgrimage rite is over. He enters Mecca and walks 7 times around the sacred shrine called the Kaaba and the great mosque, kisses or touches the black stone in the Kaaba, prays twice in the direction of the Israel and the Kaaba, and runs 7 times between the minor prominences of Mount Safa and Mount Mora.
Now, mind you, when you see this on CNN and all that, you see all these Muslims running back and forth, thousands around that little black stone in the Mecca. They say people die.
Right.
People don't get trampled, all that. You're just trying to serve your Lord. And you're going to die trying to kiss some stone. See what kind of stuff happened when you in error? Thank God the Lord don't have us doing nothing like that.
Right. Right.
Continue to read.
Right. On the 7th of Al-Hajj, the pilgrim is reminded of his duties at the 2nd stage of the ritual, which takes place between the 8th and the 12th days of the month. The pilgrim visits the holy places outside Mecca and sacrifices an animal in commemoration of Abraham's sacrifice.
Now they done started animal sacrifice.
Right.
The Lord ended animal sacrifice.
Right.
How they sitting out here cutting over some animal, talking about it going back to Abraham, and we don't do that no more. Continue to read.
The pilgrim's head is then usually shaved, and after throwing 7 stones to each of the 3 pillars at Minna on 3 successive days, the pillars exemplify various devils. He returns to Mecca to perform the farewell or circling of the Kaaba before leaving the city.
So after you've been over there walking around and running back and forth and kissing the stone, then you got to go pick up some more stones and throw them at these pillars that's supposed to be the devil. Continue to read.
About 2 million persons perform the Hajj each year.
2 million every year. Continue to read.
And the rite serves as a unifying force in Islam by bringing followers of diverse backgrounds together in religious celebration. Once a believer has made the pilgrimage, he may add the title Hajj to his name.
That's good. Now we got one more thing to read. That World Book Encyclopedia is short. It's on Kaaba.
Kaaba is the most sacred shrine of Islam. It is a small cube-shaped building with a flat roof near the center of the great mosque in Mecca. Muslims everywhere turn their faces toward the Kaaba when they pray. The famous black stone enclosed in a silver ring rests in the eastern corner of the Kaaba. According to Muslim tradition, the Kaaba was originally built by Abraham and Ishmael, and the black stone was given to Abraham by the angel Gabriel. The Kaaba is the chief goal of the annual pilgrimage of Muslims. Pilgrims run and walk around it 7 times, praying and reciting verses from the Quran. They touch or kiss the stone to end the ceremony.
And the reason why they got this ring around the stone, they say that so many people had kissed it that it cracked. It was starting to break. Just like it changed colors, they said when they got it, it was white, now it's black. It's a stone. It's a rock. I don't think y'all hearing me. It's a rock. Like your kids throwing at each other out there. You stop. Bow down to that. Don't throw that. This is a rock. We're going to move on. We're going to go over here now, back to the book, back to the Bible, and we're going to go to Genesis, the 16th chapter, and take another look at Ishmael. Genesis 16. Because we saw what Ishmael and them doing over there now, reading through their history. This is the kind of stuff the Lord wanted to keep you away from and warn you of. That's why I say don't get entangled in all of that other stuff. Now you got people spending thousands of dollars to go away to another country to kiss a rock. It might not come back if you're not a fast runner and somebody trampling you over. That's heavy. Genesis 16, and let's start reading at verse 11. Genesis 16 and verse 11. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shall bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man.
Now think about that right there. The Lord is telling you Ishmael is going to be a wild man, and his hand is going to be against every man. Do you think the Lord would give somebody his word who everybody is against?
Come on, make it.
Then how are you going to get the word if you're against this man?
Make it down, brother.
See, the Lord gave us the word because people love you. You don't do nothing but serve people. We the slaves of the world. Even the angel asked the Lord, was like, is Israel a homeborn slave? Like, when we going home? We was in Egypt for a hot second. We was in Israel for a hotter second. We've been enslaved longer than we've been home. And that's a real sad thing. But let's move on. Let's go now to Genesis the 17th chapter. And we're going to pick it up in verse 20. Genesis 17 and verse 20. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at the set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were brought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day as God had said unto him. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin.
So when I read stuff like this, I always think, okay, so Abraham was almost 100.
Thank you.
And Ishmael was 13 when they started dealing with the true and living God. When did they have time to build this thing in Mecca? And put this black stone inside.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Nothing supports that.
That's right, brother.
And the Lord taught him better,
Right.
to not worship wood and stones.
That's right, brother.
If he gonna sit here and tell us way back then that we would be doing that, you think he didn't tell him right there while he was with him, don't do that?
Right.
See?
You know, people not using these brains, like I said.
That's right, brother.
Let's move on though. Let's go to Genesis, the 26th chapter, and we're gonna confirm why we know Abraham wouldn't do nothing like that. See, Israel are the teachers, you the priests,
Right.
so you know better.
Amen.
That's why the Lord said He's gonna whoop you with many stripes. People who don't know a lot, they're gonna get a few stripes. But you know. You choose to not do it. Genesis 26, let's start reading at verse 4. This is the Lord dealing with Abraham. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed.
But why is He going to do this for Abraham?
Because that Abraham obeyed my voice, and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
Do you see what Abraham was on? He was on point.
Right.
So he wasn't building no mosques to no rocks and no stuff like that. He was on point. He was reading the commandments. Let's go now to Exodus 20th chapter. Exodus 20. And we're going to start reading at verse 1. Exodus 20 and verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which hath brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath.
Ain't a meteorite hanging out there in the heavens somewhere above? So if it falls down to the earth, that means now we're supposed to worship it.
Right.
The Lord said no, right? Up there, down there, beneath, below. We don't have symbols and pictures and stuff like that. All we have is words.
Right.
The words that He got from the Holy Father that He said He got to give to you. And for you to give to all the rest of the children of Adam and Eve.
Right.
That's the job.
Amen.
And it's a simple job. We're going to move on. Back to the Quran now. We're going to take a look at Israel over there. This time we're going to Surah 3 and 45.
Behold, the angel said, O Mary, Allah giveth thee glad tidings of a word from him. His name will be Christ Jesus.
Now see, this is a problem. Because all the Muslims going to tell you, oh, Jesus was just a prophet, you know, just like Moses and all the rest of them. Okay, well, in their Quran, their God, Allah, is saying that He's going to send them a word from Him. And the problem comes in when they say Christ Jesus. Mary's name wasn't Christ.
Right.
Joseph's name wasn't Christ. Their name was Israel.
Right.
Christ is a title. That means the anointed one, the Messiah.
Right, brother.
If you're a Muslim, the Mahdi.
Right.
So how can you sit here and read this in the Quran and then turn around and call him a prophet?
Right.
Now.
That's total disrespect. Start that over from the beginning and read it. And pay attention to what you read, what you hear.
Behold, the angel said, O Mary, Allah giveth thee glad tidings of a word from him. His name will be Christ Jesus, the Son of Mary, held in honor in this world and the hereafter, and of the company of those nearest to Allah.
Now they say all men can sin. We can all come fall short of the glory. If their God is telling them that He's to be worshipped in this world and the hereafter, you know He ain't going to make no mistakes. He's without sin.
Right.
How do you know that? Unless He's something special. Everybody know He was special. This was God. This ain't some prophet.
Right.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
right. That's right.
He's the Most High God.
That's right.
But since he didn't make a whole lot of attention on himself, he glorified his Holy Father. People don't want to give him his.
That's right.
But you got to give him his. He's Alpha and Omega.
That's right.
He's the first and the last God that you're going to see in these body forms. When you see the Holy Father, you're going to have this.
Right. That's right.
So yes, he's to be respected. He is the Christ. He is the anointed. He is the Messiah.
That's what he is.
Now let's go over here back to the 2 million years, and we're going to look at page 148. And we only going to read, let me show you which part on that. Because a lot of that you don't have to read, it's a short part.
But
This is from the 2 million years, another history book, page 148.
though forced conversions did occur, they were the exception, not the rule. Islam had much to offer the faithful. It proclaimed that all men were equal before Allah. It promised paradise to true believers, and it was tolerant enough to accept Moses and Jesus as prophets along with Muhammad.
Now, how is the Muslims going to say they were tolerant enough to accept Jesus and Moses? Well, your whole book, you done copied the Torah, you done copied all 5 of Moses' books. I hope you would accept them.
Right.
And then Jesus is God. How you gonna not accept him?
That's right. That's right.
And the Muslims would be the first to tell you, we only pray to the Creator, the one who made the sun, the moon, the star. Well, that's an error. Because Jesus created all that. And he said, don't pray to him.
Right.
Pray to your Father,
That's right.
who is my Father,
That's right.
who is already in heaven.
That's right.
So everything they're doing is out of order because you're not learning from the
Definitely
priests.
out of order. Amen, brother.
This is all about Israel, not Ishmael. Abraham tried to fight for that, like we all read earlier.
Right.
And the Lord said no. No means no.
That's right.
Let's move on. Now let's go over here and take a look at this God here. But before we do that, we're going to go to Genesis, the 49th chapter. And then we're going to go back into this Quran and look at this God here. That's why I wanted to read you that stuff about the Messiah and the Anointed One, so you can understand that Jesus is God. I know you already knew that anyway, but the Quran don't really explain it like that.
That's right.
Genesis 49, we're going to start reading at verse 9. Genesis 49 and verse 9. And when you sit back and you read this with understanding, this is the Lord letting you know that Jesus is going to gather the people at the appointed time. And this is way back in Genesis. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. He stooped down, he couched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come.
Who is Shiloh?
Jesus.
Shiloh means peace.
Right.
Continue.
And unto him shall the gathering of the people be.
So the Lord let you know way back here, before Israel had even really became a nation, got out here and started doing things, he knew he was going to mess it all up. And he knew that Jesus was going to have to come get us.
There you go.
Because he put it right here in Genesis 49
There
chapter.
you go. Amen.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe he does know everything before it happened, but he's going to test you.
That's right.
He's going to see what you're going to do.
That's right.
Now let's go look at this God here. We're going back to the Quran. Because over there, they try to say that there's only one God, a singular God. They don't understand that the word God is plural.
Amen.
But we're going to take a look at it because they book seem like they got it right. Like I said, I don't think they're reading this book. We're going to go to Surah 2 and 135. Surah 2 and 135.
They say, become Jews or Christians if you would be guided to salvation. Say thou, nay, I would rather the religion of Abraham, the truth, and he joined not gods with Allah.
See what they're saying there? He joined not gods with Allah. They look at us as like joining Jesus to the Holy Father. They don't understand that God, plural, they're one and the same.
Right.
They're not understanding that. So they got that in there. But go over now to 19 and 34.
Such was Jesus, the son of Mary. It is a statement of truth about which they vainly dispute. It is not befitting to the majesty of Allah that he should beget a son.
You see what they're saying here? In their mind, that's just like so unbelievable. Like, God's going to become a man? Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
But see, they don't have nobody to teach them no better.
Right.
So they learned it from the children of Ishmael. Go over now to 2 and 53. Because all through here, you're going to start seeing we. And when you talk to them, they're going to say, oh, that's God and the angels.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see in here that it's not God and the angels. We're going to see where he dealt with some angels even in this one. But first we're going to go to 2 and 53.
And remember, we gave Moses the scripture and the criterion.
So who is this we giving something to Moses? Now let's go over here to 2 and 58.
And remember, we said, enter this town and eat of the plenty therein as you wish. But enter the gate with humility and posture and in words, and we shall forgive you your faults.
Only God forgive you your faults. We shall forgive. An angel gonna forgive you your faults? No, all angels are ministering spirits. To minister unto you, the ones that's gonna get salvation. Let's move on some more. 15 and 23. 15 and 23.
And verily, it is we who give life and who give death.
When angels start just killing people in land, the Lord tells angels what to do. Angels don't give life and death. That's like when they surrounded our land and the angel had his sheaf out. He was just killing and killing, and the Lord said stop. He stopped, but he ain't put it up because he's a killer angel. He give people the jobs that they're good at. When the Lord said, now put your sword back in your sheath, then he put it up.
That's right. That's right.
They don't make decisions. They follow orders.
That's right. That's it.
That's right.
Let's go look at another one. Let's go over here to 15 and 8 this time. Now pay attention because this is dealing with the angels. 15 and 8. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
We send not the angels down except for just cause. If they came to the ungodly, behold.
Now he's saying we sent the angels. Angels are sending angels down? This we can't be God and the angels. We're going to go look at another one. 19 and 17.
She placed a screen to screen herself from them. When we sent to her our angel, and he appeared before her as
Not angels got an angel.
Right.
We sent her our angel. This is all dealing with the Godhead, but they don't understand it.
Right.
Just like they don't understand the holy day. The Christians jump on Sunday, and the Muslims jump on Friday.
Right.
But nobody wanted to get on the day that the Lord said. Nobody wanted to get on Saturday. He kept his day separate. He said, y'all ain't going to get on my day with all of that. I'm going to give y'all a whole nother day. To make sure y'all know you don't have the right. Now let's go back to the Bible, Genesis 1 and 1. Genesis 1 and 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
That's good. Let's skip down to verse 26.
And God said, let us make man in our image.
Let us make man in our image. Plural. Now you know that you're dealing with two here. Let us make man in our image. Now let's go over to Genesis, the 2nd chapter. Let's start reading in verse 2, because now we're going to start dealing with this Sabbath day. Because that God here, it's too clear to see that angels don't control and don't send out rules. Angels are ministering spirits. So that Godhead thing, it just don't fly. And the reason why it don't fly is because it's coming from Ishmael. Genesis 2, and let's start reading in verse 2.
And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made.
So it seemed like God did all of this about his holy day himself.
Right.
He didn't ask nobody for help.
Right.
He didn't ask us. He didn't ask Muhammad. And he didn't ask Constantine. And just to confirm that, let's skip down to verse 5 and read.
And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground.
So if there's not a man to walk the earth yet, there's not a man to till the ground, how a man going to come here later and change the day that God set before he even made you? And he told you this day is holy unto him.
Right.
This is his holy day.
There you go. Amen.
His holy day.
Amen, brother.
Now let's go back to this Quran and deal with this Sabbath day. Surahs 2 and 63. And we're going to stop at 65. Surahs 2 and 63.
And remember, we took your covenant, and we raised above you the towering height of Mount Sinai, saying, hold firmly to what we have given you, and bring ever to remembrance what is therein.
And we read in 19, right, when they came down on the mountain and the Lord gave this to Israel.
Right.
So they're talking about our account in their book. But they got this from the first 5. They got this from the Torah. Continue to read.
Perchance ye may fear Allah, but ye turn back thereafter. Had it not been for the grace and mercy of Allah to you, ye had surely been almost the lost. You had surely been among the lost. And will ye knew those among you who transgress in the matter of the Sabbath? We said to them, be ye apes, despise and reject.
If you're calling yourself a Muslim, and the Lord is saying, be ye apes, despise and reject it, because you didn't keep the Sabbath day. First thing you should be like is, what's the Sabbath day?
Right.
Right.
That's right.
Because the Quran don't teach about no Sabbath day.
Right.
But yet here that God is warning you and telling you what he's going to do to you about a Sabbath day.
Right.
Because these people confused.
Right.
It wasn't given to them.
Right, brother.
They Sabbath day is Friday. And they don't even honor it as a Sabbath, what they call Jumu'ah. They stop. You might have come to some of their stores sometimes, it's closed for an hour or two. They're in the back praying.
Right.
Gas station, then after that, Jumu'ah prayer over, boom, it's back to money.
Right.
They get up, open the door, I'm sorry, I was praying, what do you need? Right back to work.
Right.
That's not a holy day.
Right. That's right.
Let's look at another one. Let's go over here to Surahs 4 and 47.
O ye people of the book, believe in what we had now revealed, confirming what was already with you before we changed the face and fame of some of you beyond all recognition, and turned them inwards, or curse them as we curse, or some. Let me go back. Of some of you beyond all recognition, and turn them inwards, or curse them as we curse the Sabbath breakers. For the decision of Allah must be
So you
carried
see
out.
here again, if you break in the Sabbath, you're getting cursed.
Right.
If you're a Muslim and you reading stuff like this, that should be killing you. Like, what's this Sabbath?
Right.
I need to know, what is this Sabbath?
That's right.
Let's go now to 7 and 163. That's like us sitting here reading and studying your Bible and you keep running across something that none of us never do.
That's right.
It's going to be on you to come up to one of us and be like, hey, brother, have you read this?
Right.
Why are we not doing this?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But they don't come up to you with none of that. They don't do that because they don't read their book. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
Ask them concerning the town standing close by the sea. Behold, they transgressed in the matter of the Sabbath. For on the day of their Sabbath, their fish did come to them, openly holding up their heads. But on the day they had no Sabbath, they came not. Thus did we make a trial of them, for they were given to transgression.
So that means they failed. So the Lord tricked them. He said, you can't work on the Sabbath, so you can't go out there and go fishing on the Sabbath. So they say on the Sabbath day, the fish was coming up to the water, like almost showing their face, like, here we go.
Right.
So they like, man, there ain't been no fish no other days, we're going to go ahead and get them. Now you went ahead and got fishing, now you say you're going to transgress the Sabbath.
See, oh my God. Oh my Lord.
This is their book.
Oh my goodness. Jesus.
Now let's go over here to Surahs 4 and 153.
The people of the book asked ye to cause a book to descend to them from heaven. Indeed, they asked Moses for an even greater miracle. For they said, show us Allah in public. But they were dazed for their presumption by thunder and lightnings. Yet they worshipped the calf even after clear signs had come to them. Even so we forgave them and gave Moses manifest proofs of authority.
So when Moses came with these manifests, with these oracles, it's to show the people how to live. But it's like they done almost put Moses down there as an Ishmaelite.
That's right.
He's an Israelite. Let's go over here to 62 and 9. We're going to read 9 and 10, and then I think we finish with this one. Nope, we still got a little bit more, but it's going to be finished with this part. This is the Sabbath.
You said 62.
62, we're going to start reading at 9 and go into 10.
O ye who believe, when the call is proclaimed to prayer on Friday, the day of assembly.
That's when you see them on Friday, they be up in the little temple, hollering out, and that means everybody come to prayer. It's time for prayer.
Right.
Continue.
Hasten earnestly to the remembrance of Allah, and leave off business and traffic. That is best for you, if ye but knew. And when the prayer is finished, then may ye disperse through the land, and seek of the bounty of Allah, and celebrate the praises of Allah often and without stint, that ye may prosper.
See, that's good. Basically, they're telling you is once you finish your prayer, you can go back out there and seek the bounty of the land.
Right.
You finished.
Right.
So they holy day is like an hour, however long it takes you to do your prayer. That's why I never really understood Ramadan. They're saying they feasting, but as soon as the sun go down, you eat. I mean, they say that they fasting, but you eat. The sun go down is the next day, but you eating every day. The whole 30 days they eat. They get up like 6 in the morning before the sun come up and eat. Then when the sun go down, you can eat. When do you fast? Right. All this comes from not having understanding. Now let's go take a look at something else. Let's go over here, back to Exodus, the 20th chapter. You see, the Muslims say they believe in the Torah. If you believe in the Torah, then all of this stuff right here, you should be taking in. Exodus 20, we're going to read verse 1 and then skip to verse 8. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And God spake all these words, saying, verse 8.
Yep, skip to verse 8.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
So you see, he blessed this day. He did all of this. Let's go over here to Exodus, the 31st chapter. Exodus, 31st chapter. And let's start reading at verse 12. 31 and 12. And you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am the Lord that doth sanctify you.
So that means he's the Lord that do set you apart from everything else. Sanctify you. Continue.
Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people.
So the Lord is saying, if you don't keep this day and you don't keep this day holy, he's going to kill you. Continue to read.
6 days may work be done, but in the seventh is the Sabbath of rest, holy to the Lord. Whosoever doeth any work in the Sabbath day, he shall surely be put to death.
He's not saying maybe. The Lord is saying, surely you're going to die if you don't keep my day holy. Continue to read.
Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant.
How long is perpetual?
Forever.
That's right. Continue to read.
It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day he rested and was refreshed.
So you see here, this is all God's thing. You know, he didn't ask man for no help on this. So all we got to do is obey. Just do what he said for us to do. Let's go to Exodus, the 35th chapter. And all of this is still Torah. This is still all the first 5 books. Exodus 35, and let's start reading in verse 2. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be to you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day.
And he even threw in one of the rules there to let you know you can't kindle no fire on this day. Just like they said in the Quran, they couldn't go fishing. You can't do no work.
Right.
Ain't no work on this day.
Right.
Let's go to Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. And see, the Lord gave everything a set time, but the appointed time, you're going to have what you call the day of the Lord's vengeance. And he said he's going to repay everybody to their face.
Right.
Deuteronomy 7, and let's start reading in verse 6. Deuteronomy 7 and 6. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people, for ye were the fewest of all people.
So he said, I didn't love you because it was a whole lot of y'all. I was less than y'all than anybody.
Right.
Continue to read.
But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, that the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Didn't he tell you I remember my covenant?
Right.
That's an agreement. That's an oath. He got going with you, your forefathers, forever.
Right.
Man.
Continue to read.
Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face.
So you see, the Lord ain't playing here. He said he will not be slack. He's not going to be slow in coming.
No.
Like, I'm going to be so fast in your face, all of y'all that hate me, when I see y'all.
Okay.
That's what people don't understand.
Right.
You know, we had one of our teachers, I'll never forget when Bowie was talking about, some brother came up to him and was like, y'all always act like God is just up there mad every day. He said he is. Read the book. I said, go to Psalm 7:11. He tell you, man, I'm angry every day with the wicked.
Right.
People don't get it. If you sat up here and you made all of this and you had beautiful plans, he said he cut this olive tree, he made it real nice, this vineyard, and then you come here and it's torn up. Like we was reading earlier, he said he wanted you to be on top of everything. Anything anybody do, they got to come to you.
That's right.
We messed that up. That's why he whooping us like this. That's why we dying in the streets like this.
Right.
Until we get on our job, he going to keep whooping. She done told you that. His words will not come back to him void.
Teach. Teach.
So we got work to do.
Amen.
Let's move on. Now let's take a look at this dietary law. Back to the Quran, 2 and 172. Because Muslims think they can eat anything, as long as it ain't no pig. And I'm like, that's not the case.
Right.
The brother was almost ready to fight me over in Hyde Park. That piece of Muhammad. Crazy. I said, brother, you still can't eat it. Where's your Quran? Right. Let's read it.
Amen.
We really don't have nothing to eat now. You telling me I can't eat the things in the sea? I'm like, yeah, you can eat some things in the sea. Things with fins and scales, but not no shrimps, not no lobsters, and they be tearing that stuff up.
They sure do.
I'm like, that's just like eating the pork.
That's right, brother. Now.
Surah 2 and 172. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
O ye who believe, eat of the good things that we have provided for you, and be grateful to Allah, if it is him you worship. He hath only forbidden you dead meat and blood, and the flesh of swine, and that on which any other name have been invoked, besides
So if
that
you
of
praying
Allah.
some name or whatever over it, they God saying you can't eat it. If it died, I guess on itself, you can't eat it. If it got blood in it, you can't eat it. And if it's a swine,
If it's right.
if it's the pig, if it's a swine, you can't eat it. But that ain't what the dietary law say. But we're going to get to that. Let's go first 3 and 93. 3 and 93. When you get it, go ahead.
All food was lawful to the children of Israel, except what Israel made unlawful for itself.
Now, you know Israel had a hard time following the laws that God gave us. You know he ain't putting no extra laws on us.
Right.
But this is what the Muslims thought. Continue to read.
Right. before the law of Moses was revealed, say, bring ye the law and study it, if ye be men of truth.
That right there just killed it for the Muslims.
Right, that's right, brother.
Because they say, if you be men of truth, say, seek me the law of Moses. If you search that whole Quran, you're not going to find the law of Moses. The law of Moses is like the Quran told you to go to the Torah. And when you go to the Torah, Leviticus 11th chapter, you will get the words of Moses. And he'll tell them they can't eat that. So if they be men of truth, like the Quran said, then they have to come back to the Bible. Have to come back to your book.
Thanks very much.
Let's go now to Surahs 5 and 4. And we're going to take a look at a little something here that they did that was real out of order. Surahs 5 and 4. You get it? Go ahead.
They ask thee what is lawful to them as food. Say, lawful unto you are all things good and pure, and what ye have taught your trained honey animals to catch in the manner directed to you by Allah.
Now, how foul is that? You got a trained dog or something, or a hound dog, and you send him out, and what he come back with is clean.
Right.
Because you trained him to go hunt. We got one more place to go on the dietary law. Let's go to 22 and 34. Surah 22 and 34. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
To every people did we appoint rites of sacrifice, that they might celebrate the name of Allah over the substance he gave them from animals fit for food. Well, your God is one God. Submit then your wills to him in
Now look at
Islam.
all this boasting they do. Your God is one God, and all this. And look at this mistake they're finna make. Continue to read.
Submit then your wills to him in Islam, and give those the good news to those who humble themselves, to those whose hearts, when Allah is mentioning, are filled with fear, who show patient perseverance over their affliction, keep up regular prayer, and spend in charity out of what we have bestowed upon them. The sacrificial camels, which have
Sacrificial camel.
right.
You know, they got a lot of camels in there. We're going to put camel up here, because I want you to remember they said that. Continue.
The sacrificial camels we have made for you as among the symbols from Allah, and them is much good for you. Then pronounce the name of Allah over them as they line up the sacrifice. When they are down on their sides after slaughter, eat ye thereof, and feed such as beg, not, but live in contentment.
That's good. Now here it is. He's telling you about these sacrificial camels. So the Lord done blessed them with all this oil and all this. They making money. They got all these camels lined up. They're going to lay them on their side to sacrifice them to the Lord. You can't sacrifice an unclean animal. That's right. They're going to sacrifice this camel, kill them. Then they said you can eat it.
See, after you done.
And I guess give some away if they don't want you begging. I guess he said give some to the poor. Now let's go to Leviticus 11th chapter. Let's check this. Leviticus 11th chapter. And we're going to start at verse 1. Leviticus 11 and verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatsoever part of the hoof and is cloven-footed and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat. Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or of them that divide the hoof, as the camel.
As the what?
The camel.
The first thing he mentioned to you is this camel.
Right.
He's like, you can't eat it.
See that?
Right.
That's right.
Right.
You can't eat it.
Right.
But here the Quran is got them lined up telling you to sacrifice them and eat them.
See?
Continue to read.
As the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean unto you.
Skip down to verse 7 and continue.
And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you.
There go that swine. There go your pig, your bacon, chitlins, all of that. He's like, he's unclean to you. You can't eat this.
That's right.
You know, the Lord put a lot of things here on the earth, and they're good for certain things, but not all for food.
That's right, brother.
That's why he had this written to let you know what it is I want you to eat and what I don't want you to eat.
There you go.
Continue to read, Israel.
8. Of their flesh shall ye not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch. they are unclean to you.
So the Lord is letting you know once they die, I don't even want you to touch this pig.
Amen.
You see him in the zoo and all that, you can pet him all you want. Hey, little pygmy. As soon as he dies, I ain't touching
Hey,
him.
that's it.
Right.
Yeah, the Lord said, don't touch his carcass.
That's the key right there.
They sitting there taking the carcass, barbecuing it, and sticking it in their mouth.
That's right. Absolutely.
Continue to read.
These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
So see, if the Quran would have had even just that in there, they would have known that they can't eat the shrimps and lobsters and calamaris. But they don't have none of that because they wasn't supposed to be teaching.
Amen.
It's not for them. Skip down to verse 44 and continue.
For I am the Lord your God. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. Neither shall ye defile yourselves with any manner of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Skip down to verse 46 and continue.
This is the law of the beast, and of the fowl, and of every living creature that moveth in the waters, and of every creature that creepeth upon the earth, to make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten.
That's real simple, ain't it?
It is. It is.
Now we're going to this Quran for one more time. We got two more to read. Verses 5 and 20. See, that's why you got to get this from Israel. Because anybody else you get it from, they're going to mess it up. Because it ain't theirs.
Amen.
That's like taking your car to a mathematician, telling him to fix it.
Right.
And then you take your kid to the auto mechanic and say, teach him math.
See,
Right.
see, now.
You're not going to do that.
Right.
Same with church.
Right.
Surah 5 and verse 20. You get it, Israel, go ahead.
Remember Moses said to his people, O my people, call in remembrance the favor of Allah unto you, when he produced prophets among you, made you kings, and gave you what he had not given to any other among the people.
So if he gave that to us and no other people, always remember, there is no such thing as a prophet, nothing but Israel.
Right.
There's no prophet Muhammad. There's no prophet Ham.
Oh.
There's none of that.
Take your time.
Only Israel.
Only Israel.
God gave that to you.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Don't let nobody take it from you.
Thank you very much.
Now let's go to Surah 2 and 122.
O children of Israel, call to mind the special favor which I bestowed upon you, and that I preferred you to all others for my message. Then guard yourselves against the day when one soul shall not avail another.
So the Lord is sitting here warning you all over the place. Our God even got a neighbor. You know, hey Israel, listen, man, get it together and go teach the people. Warn them.
Right.
So this lesson is pretty much over showing you that the children of Israel has got the covenant, not Ishmael. But we got a few more scriptures we're going to go through here that's not in the first 5 books because the point has been proven. You know, the covenant went with Israel, not Ishmael.
Right.
But we're going to read some of these to show you why people do stuff like this Ishmael and all that, because the Lord warned us about it.
Amen.
Let's go to Psalms 83. We're going to pick it up in verse 1. So your Lord told you about all of this, how all of these different people got confederate against you, and not to hate you because of something that you did, they hate you because the Lord chose you.
That's right. Praise the
Something that had nothing to do with you. And all act like they want to be you. If they can walk in your shoes for a little while, they'd be like, man, I think I want my color back.
You're right.
They don't understand how we be catching. Their kids go to jail for 20 minutes, ours get 20 years, same crime. The Lord like, I'm not going to give you no air, because you're supposed to know that. Psalms 83, and let's pick it up in verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
Keep not thou silent, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
So think about that. He's saying these people out here who hate God,
That's right.
they took in crafty counsel against his hidden ones.
That's right.
Who is his hidden ones? You.
Israel.
Don't nobody call you Israel, you African
That's
American.
right.
You hid to him. Continue to read.
They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
Why do you think they're constantly changing your name? They don't want you to know your name is
That's
Israel.
right, brother.
Don't nobody else on this planet's name change. Ours change like every couple of years. Every 10, 15 years, they call it something different. Continue to read.
For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee.
Now, who are these people that are so confederate against us?
The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites.
Look at that. Right off the bat. Our twin brother, Edom, the one we read about the porch, another Shemite, and then here come Ishmael, the Ishmaelites. The closest ones to us were sitting right there with them, being confederate against us. And the Lord wants you to know that. Because you need to know stuff like that. Let's move on. Let's go over here now to the book of Amos, the 3rd chapter. See, you're real special to the Lord. He told you that I don't know how many times today in this lesson we read that. Where he said, you're a peculiar treasure unto me. So yeah, people don't like you. But every time you turn around, they want to look like you, they want to dance like you, talk like you. I wonder why. Romans 9, no, we're going to Amos. Amos 3, and let's start at verse 1. Amos 3 and verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
And you see that, don't you? That's why you don't get away with nothing.
Thank you very much.
He said, of all the families of the earth, I only know you.
You.
Only you.
Yeah.
Let's go to Romans, the 9th chapter. Romans 9, we're going to start reading in verse 3. Romans 9 and 3. If you get it, Israel, go ahead.
For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites.
So he's letting you know, Paul, here that he's an Israelite and Christ is an Israelite. Continue to read.
To whom pertaineth the adoption, and
We saw that, right, when Israel got adopted. We read that today. Continue to read.
and the glory, and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the service of God, and the promises.
So what's left?
You got it all.
If Israel got all of that, what's left? You got everything. You got the covenants, the promises, the services of the house. Everything that in God's house is in your hands. Continue to read.
Whose are the fathers, and of whom, as concerning the flesh, Christ came, who was over all, God blessed forever. Amen.
That's good. Let's go now to Isaiah, the 21st chapter. Because the Lord said a little something over here in Isaiah about the seed of Kedar. And that's where Muhammad comes from. So the Lord put a little something in here for them too. And I think we should read it. Isaiah 21, and we're going to start reading at verse 13. Isaiah 21 and verse 13. If you get it, Israel, go ahead.
The burden upon Arabia, and the forest in Arabia shall ye lodge, O you traveling companies of dead and imps.
Skip down to verse 16 and continue.
For thus hath the Lord said unto me, within a year, according to the years of a hireling, and all the glory of Kedar shall fall.
So if they're going to fail and fall, that ain't a good thing. And I'm like the Lord is saying, all the seed of Kedar, looking at them as a whole.
See?
Now, I don't know if he's going to do it to them because of this, but I think it might be.
Right.
You're not supposed to do this.
Right.
He said, I'm making Esau most desolate because they tried to play like they're you. If somebody mess up the priesthood, you mess up everybody's salvation.
That's right.
Oh,
You have to come to Israel to get your salvation, to get the words of God.
amen.
So if somebody's trying to stop that, then what do you think he's going to do to them?
See?
It's going to be on. Let's go over here now to the book of Joshua, the 10th chapter. Joshua 10. We're going to take another look at why they don't want you to reconnect with your God, or why they don't want you to know who you are. Because when you was with your God, it wasn't fair for them. They was catching it. They don't never want to see these days again. They probably telling their children's children, man, don't let them blacks know who they are, please. Y'all going to be catching it. Let them get back with their God is all. But what they don't understand is it's going to help them.
Right.
Joshua 10, and let's start reading at verse 8. Joshua 10 and verse 8. This is when our people was dealing with the Amorites. When you get in Israel, go ahead.
And the Lord said unto Joshua, Fear them not, for I have delivered them into thine hand. There shall not a man of them stand before thee. Joshua therefore came unto them suddenly, and went up from Gilgal all night. And the Lord discomfited them before Israel, and slew them with a great slaughter at Gibeon, and chased them along the way that goeth up to Beth-horon, and smote them at Azekah and unto Makekah. And it came to pass, as they fled from before Israel, and were in the going down to Beth-horon, that the Lord cast down great stones from heaven upon them to Azekah, and they died. They were more which died with hailstones than they whom the children of Israel slew with the sword.
So here it is, your God telling you to go get these people. And you going over there with these big old people with the sword trying to fight. And you watching people fall before you can even stick them. Some big hailstone that came down and knocked his dome off.
Right.
They said the Lord was killing more people than Israel.
Right.
You think these people want to see you back with your God? They don't. They probably feel that the playing field wasn't even. Right. What they don't understand is your God is their God. They got to get in line. They got to come through protocol.
Right.
If half these people knew who you was, they wouldn't treat us like this.
Amen. Amen.
Because God tells you He's going to repay them for that.
Amen.
They say when somebody touch you, that's like touching the apple of the Father's eye.
That's it.
We
Amen.
read earlier, the Lord said you are His portion.
That's right.
If we don't get it right, the people not going to get it. I'm telling you.
Thank you. Teach, brother.
We have to give it to them. Continue to read, Israel.
12. Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Son, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Joshua?
Now you probably got all these scientists running around trying to figure out how come this day the sun stayed up longer than any other day.
Right.
All they need to do is read and say one of God's servants, Joshua, he told the sun to stop. They probably look at you like you crazy. But it's written. It happened.
It is written. Amen.
That's why they don't want you back with your God.
Right, brother.
You turn around saying, sun, stop, because if it get dark, I'm not going to be able to kill them all. The sun, stop. That's a problem. That's a real problem. That's what you call help from above for real. Finish that up, Israel.
So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened to the voice of a man.
That's
the
good.
Lord fought to Israel.
That is good.
Amen.
The Lord fought for Israel. That is good. He's still fighting for you if you're doing the right thing. He got some hedges around you. Let's go over here now to Isaiah 56. We got a few more. Because I know we read a lot about how if you don't keep the Sabbath, the Lord will kill you. But I know he was talking directly straight to Israel. So I want to let you know if you're not Israel, if you're a stranger and you get a hold of this lesson, he's talking to you too. So we're going to go over here and read this Isaiah 56 and confirm.
Amen.
Isaiah 56 and verse 1. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
Thus saith the Lord, keep ye judgment and do justice, for my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that doeth this.
Blessed is the Israelite?
The man
Oh, okay. Blessed is the man.
that doeth this, and the Son of Man that layeth hold on it, that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and keepeth his hand from doing any evil.
Skip down to verse 6 and continue.
Also the sons of the stranger that join themselves to the Lord to serve him, and to love the name of the Lord, to be his servants. Everyone that keepeth the Sabbath from polluting it, and taketh hold of my covenant. Even them will I bring to my holy mountain, and make them joyful in my house of prayer. The burnt offerings and their sacrifices shall be accepted upon mine altar, for mine house should be called an house of prayer for all people.
So you see, it's one law for all.
That's right.
You know, the Lord is only talking straight to Israel because he said, only have I known Israel. Y'all are my priests. But once we get it, it's our job, like I said, to give it to everybody else.
Right.
So that way we all on one accord.
Thank you.
Let's go now to Revelations 2 and 9. We're going to read here to let you know that the Lord know that Esau is over there playing like he's you, and the Lord knows that he's not. And it's funny that they picked the tribe of Judah to call themselves Jews. like all Israel is just Jews. You know, we got 12 different tribes.
That's right.
They don't never say they Benjamin or Dan or Naphtali or Levi, nobody. Everybody want to be a Jew because they know Jesus came through that tribe.
That's right. That's right.
But he got their number. And we about to read it. Revelations 2 and 9. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
You see, the Lord is letting them know. Y'all ain't no Jews. Y'all are the synagogue of Satan. Y'all with the devil. And I'm going to put y'all where I put them.
Now,
3 and 9. Go ahead.
Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee.
You see, the Lord got that done. The Lord knows everything that's going on down here. We got 3 more. Let's go to Revelation, the 20th chapter. And we're going to start reading at verse 10. We're going to take a look at the end of it all. Revelations 20 and verse 10. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And I saw a great white throne, and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and there was found no place for them. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open, and another book was open, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works.
Now, what books do you think on this great day God is going to open up on all the people?
Genesis, Revelation.
The same book you got in front of you. From Genesis to Revelation. And he's going to judge you according to your works.
That's right.
You think he's going to pop some book on you you ain't never seen and never had and start judging you out of it? He's going to judge you out of the book you got.
there you go.
These are the books that's open. From Genesis all the way to Revelation.
Amen.
Now let's go to Revelation, the 21st chapter. You got one more after this. Revelation 21, and let's start reading at verse 10. Revelation 21 and verse 10. When you get it, Israel, go ahead.
And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God, having the glory of God. And her light was like unto a stone, most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. And as a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the 12, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
Now see, this is not Jesus' kingdom. This is the Holy Father's kingdom. This is New Jerusalem coming down. So when New Jerusalem come down, when it's all said and done, you got to come through one of those 12 gates.
Whoa.
What 12 gates? Of the children of Israel. Like I said earlier, if you don't get it from us, you don't get it.
There you go. Praise the Lord.
Just like we didn't ask to be the Lord's priest,
See?
it wasn't by choice. We didn't ask to be black. You don't get to make all the choices. Sometimes God makes the choices. And when he makes them, you better make sure you get
Very
on.
much. Amen.
We got one more to read. Let's go over here to Hebrews, the 13th chapter. We're going to read one verse. Hebrews 13 and verse 8. If you get it, Israel, go ahead.
Jesus Christ, the same yesterday and today and forever.
That means there will be no excuses.
No.
I hope you got some understanding out of Israel, not Israel.